Today we are talking makeup brushes. From drugstore to high-end, I've got cruelty-free and vegan options that will fit any budget and any skill level. I have some recommendations for beginners if you just want to look for brushes to get started, but I also have some recommendations if you're just looking to add to your already abundant makeup brush collection like myself. So these aren't even all of the brushes I have today, so we better get into it. This is Unfiltered Makeup, and I'm Anne-Marie, by the way. I feature cruelty-free and vegan makeup options. And let's dive in and get started with the drugstore right away. So another disclaimer, I did try to wash all of my brushes before this video, but there are a couple dirty ones that snuck in, and of course one of the ones I'm starting with happens to be a dirty one. Also, disclaimer, I have bought all of these brushes with my own money, with the exception of a few that have been gifted to me, mainly I think by my sister, who has always been a big supporter of my love of makeup and has gifted me brushes and makeup products throughout the years. So thank you to her, and the rest is of course all not sponsored, not affiliated. I'm just here to recommend what I use and love. So we're going to start off with Wet n Wild brushes, and these you can pick up at the drugstore. I think these actually might have even come from Dollar Tree, and I've just got two to start with to show you. They of course make many other brushes, but here are two of my favorites that I'm gonna show you. I think they're both really versatile and great for beginner or advanced users. So the first one here is just the fluffy eyeshadow brush, and again, sorry, this is one of the dirty ones, but this is super nice and soft, and when I wash it, it always does wash up nicely. This one I love. You can of course use it for powders or creams, but I especially love this one for cream eyeshadows in the style of like a paint pot. I used this on the Charlotte Tilbury Mesmerize eyeshadow, the cream eyeshadow. Of course, that's cruelty-free and vegan too. I used that in there. I've used it with powder. You can also, when it's clean, just use it as a fluffy blending brush to kind of blend all over your eyes, or it's a great tool to use to set your eyes with translucent powder before you get started doing your makeup. So again, this is an inexpensive, versatile tool that I highly recommend adding to your collection either way. So the second Wet n Wild brush I have here is, I don't know, they don't say on them what they are intended for, but here's the secret about makeup brushes. Just because they might say one thing that they're intended for, it doesn't mean you actually have to use it for that. You can use it for whatever you want and whatever works for you. So get creative, use one brush in many different ways. Again, you don't have to have a lot. If you don't have a budget to get started with makeup, but you just want to get started, you have all the tools you need right within your hands. You can just apply it with your fingers, of course. But once you start upgrading and playing a little more, you can add some brushes. So again, this one is a very firm, stiff, flat brush, and this one I use as a concealer brush. I'm not sure if that's what the intention is, but I do love it for concealer, for applying the concealer under the eyes. I usually just apply it with a concealer brush and then blend it out with a sponge or another style brush. And you could also use it to spot correct, and you could use it if you're someone who likes to apply your moisturizer or your primers with a brush. It's a little bit small for that, but it definitely would serve that purpose. So it would be a little more concentrated and help you get in all those little nooks and crannies. But again, another great brush from the drugstore. So that's all I have from Wet n Wild, but let's move on to e.l.f. brushes. Again, cruelty-free and vegan brushes at the drugstore, and you have quite a variety of options. So this one right here is the face sculpting brush from e.l.f. and you can see it's got kind of this nice curve. So this brush is actually great for, you can use it for contouring, contouring all the areas of the face, and again, I think that's why they call it the sculpting brush. This one is not it's a wonderful brush, but it is not as versatile as some of the other brushes. This is one that's more made to do a specific job, but it does it well. So again, another great one that's actually so soft and feels so nice on the skin. Next, we have the e.l.f. stipple brush. Now, a stipple brush is one of the brushes that I think anyone should add to their makeup brush collection, because it's a stipple brush and kind of does one thing, is that it does stippling, but stippling can be used in many ways on your face. So you can actually stipple foundation on, you can stipple liquid contour, cream contour. You can use this for blush, especially cream blushes. This is wonderful and so soft. It works so well for cream products, applying it all over the face. And also it helps you really blend your makeup all over, so you could always kind of finish with a stipple brush, and it really helps you bring your makeup down your jawline and into your neck, so you don't have that line of demarcation. If you have, you know, your face and neck aren't exactly the same color, it will help you, which is pretty much anyone, by the way, but that will help you really blend it and not give you a really line of demarcation that gives you a real makeup heavy look. So this is a great brush for anyone to add to their collection. So let's just take a quick look at the eye brushes. I won't go into too much detail, but we do have the e.l.f. angled eyeliner brush. This is a super teeny tiny brush that has, as it says, the angle. So this is great for using a gel eyeliner, or also if you use a eyeshadow and spray it with setting spray, or use water or some sort of mixing medium to turn it into a liquid eyeliner. It's a great way to really get in there and apply your eyeliner, and it's very ergonomic and helps you get into all those hard to reach places. It is a little bit, it's nice and firm, but it does splay out a little bit. So that would be, it's, you know, when it's wet it does it less, but that would be my one complaint, is that it doesn't get the most precise thin line, but a great tool nonetheless. If you're looking for a more precise line, then you want to choose the small angled brush, and that will give you, again with gel eyeliner or the wet eyeshadow for eyeliner, that will give you a more precise line. But you can also use it, of course, with dry shadow and kind of go over the top of your pencil liners or gel liners. You can go over the top, and that will really set in the liners. So that is, if I picked one, I would pick the small angled brush. I would pick one of the two. If I was just picking one, I would get this one, because I think it's more versatile, and I think that's one of the brushes that you don't have to have, but maybe like level 2 have. Then we have this little small smudge brush, which is a super teeny tiny precision tool, which works really well for being very precise. You can use it for liquid product or powder, and you can really get into that lash line if you want to smudge your eyeliner or smudge shadow onto it. And you can also use it for the like outer corner, outer V of your eye, if you want to more precisely apply eyeshadow into that area and then blend it out after with a different brush. But this will help you really apply it in the areas that you want. And then lastly is the flat eyeliner brush. So of these, there are really 3 eyeliner brushes, and I would still choose the angled one first. This one works for really placing the eyeliner, like a gel eyeliner, a liquid liner that you've made liquid, for really placing it flat into the eye. It doesn't work very well for smudging, because it is stiff enough that it doesn't smudge out very evenly. So it's a nice tool, probably one I use the very least, to be honest, though. All right, moving right along. All of these brushes are created using synthetic bristles that are okay to be used with powder, liquid, or cream products. So even if it doesn't say that's what it's intended to be used for, you can absolutely use it. It'll wash up and clean up nicely. It just depends on how it applies the product, and that's all that matters. And as long as it works for you, again, that's really all that matters. Next, I've got only a few brushes left from this collection I've had, but I have to tell you, I've had these brushes since I think high school, which is a very long time ago. And they have all held up very well, and you can still pick up other brushes by this brand, so I thought I should mention it. I haven't in more recent years picked them up, but I do still see them being sold at Target, and I still hear good things about them. But let me show you just a couple of brushes here. This is from the brand Sonia Kashuk. And again, these are from Target, and I've had these for many, many years. And these are eyeshadow brushes that you can use kind of in a variety of ways. And you can use them again with cream products, you can use them with powder products. The smaller one works again for that precision, getting in those the outer V's or inner V's. And these work exceptionally well with cream shadows, and especially this little bit bigger size here. This one works extremely well for cream and liquid eyeshadows. I do love it for that. And this smaller one is great for more precision work, and it kind of works as a smudger. I will say, of all of the makeup brushes I'm showing you today, these are probably the least soft. These are, they're not scratchy per se, but they're on the verge of scratchy, which I think is one of the reasons I haven't continued to purchase from this brand, is because they're good, but the other ones are just so much better. And I hate scratchy brushes, because who wants scratchy on your eyes? You know, that's just not fun. So these are good brushes, but they are a little bit more stiff and not as soft, I will say that. So these are good for eyeshadow brushes. Another one from Sonia Kashuk is this really simple blending brush. And this one is one of those brushes that I would say, if you are just starting out and you need to add brushes to your makeup collection, this type of brush is absolutely, this and this stippling brush, those are two brushes you need in your collection. If you put on too much eyeshadow, if your eyeshadow doesn't come out quite right, the best way to fix it is to take a nice big fluffy brush like this, a nice generous fluffy brush like this, and just blend it. Blend it, blend it, blend it. And when things don't turn out right, this will fix like an eraser, and it will make it all better. And if you really just keep blending, blending, blending with most shadows, you will get to the point where it turns out so soft that it's kind of, you can start from scratch or get away with using that look. So when you're having one of those days when your makeup is just not going the way you planned, pull out these brushes and use it and fix it. And any time you're doing eyeshadow, the secret to a good eyeshadow look truly is blending. Any makeup artist will tell you the secret to eyeshadow is blending, 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 layering, blending, blending. So any day, this is absolutely your everyday brush that you just want to use for blending out that shadow. So again, this one's softer than these other eyeshadow brushes. This one works very well. I will just use this one without any product on it and use it as a clean blending brush. And again, I've had this one for years and years and years. And this one is soft enough that I would repurchase it, except that I think there's others that are better, but this one is a really good one, especially depending on, you know, what you can get your hands on. This is a really good option that I do recommend. All right. We did Wet n Wild, we did e.l.f., we did Sonia Kashuk. we are on to the big dogs. Oh boy. Okay. I forgot this one. I actually have one more Sonia Kashuk brush to show you, and that is the concealer brush. And this is a very small, much smaller than the e.lf concealer brush. But that's great for precision. This one does work really well for just getting in under the eyes, getting in those inner corners, color correcting. It's great for getting the color correcting and going in on tiny pimples and blemishes. So this is another one that is nice and soft, still firm, because that's the intention of the brush, is to be that firm for those cream and liquid products. But I just apply the concealer and then I blend out with a sponge or another brush. This I use just to get it in the right precise spot. So that's the last one from Sonia Kashuk. Of all of the brushes that I'm showing you today, I think I have to say, it's tough to say this, but I think these are still my all-time favorite makeup brushes, my favorite makeup brush brand. And that is Real Techniques. And yes, I have an abundance of them. But let me tell you, part of the reason I have so many of these is because they last forever. I started buying this brand around 10 years ago. My daughter was a baby when I started buying this brand for the first time, and I still have them here in this collection because they last so well and they wash up beautifully, and they are really versatile brushes. They're so soft, they're so well made, and I just think you can't go wrong with these, whether you're just getting started or whether you're a makeup aficionado. These are like the best brushes, and you'll just love them if you don't have them already. And if you are a makeup person like me, you probably have already bought them. So these you can get, kind of at any drugstore all around, and so often they go on sale. So make sure, of course, you can buy them when they are full price too, but make sure you check out some sales, and you can get them like buy one get one free at Ulta. I think even in the next couple of weeks, they have a sale going on for these Real Techniques brushes, and also Eco Tools, which is another cruelty-free and vegan line. And I have to admit, throughout the years, I don't think I have ever actually even tried them, so I can't speak to that brand, though it is another option for the drugstore. Eco Tools, cruelty-free and vegan brushes. But these Real Techniques ones are just so good that that is what I reach for, because they're usually stocked on the shelves at the store side by side, and I will reach for these every time. So I also want to mention here too, the Real Techniques brand does a lot of launches and specialty sets, and so I have a couple here. Now this is an old set, and I'm sure you can't get these anymore, but this is the Rose Metals, Heavy Metals collection, and the brushes are slightly different than the standard run-of-the-mill line that you'll find all the time, kind of like their tried and trues. So there are a lot of launches with these, or a lot of special limited edition sets that come out. And I want to mention this because I haven't bought a ton of the limited edition ones, and I think that I have to say the ones I have I don't love as much as just their original essential line that they have. So I want to bring that up to say that I was in the store recently and saw I was in Ulta and I saw a set, and I was looking at them and I thought, they just don't look as good. The shape of the brushes didn't look as good as the original. So, but these I do really like. These are more like a flat powder brush. This is a powder brush, a flat powder brush. It's nice for like wiping away excess powder and stuff, like if you've done a puff and then you wipe away the excess powder. But I have to admit, I don't really reach for it with all the other brushes. And so I don't even know why I'm showing these first, but I wanted to get that out of the way, that this special collections, like, take those with a grain of salt, and they may or may not be as good. I'm talking about the original line. So this was a blush brush, a small, like, little precise blush brush. And again, this one's it's super soft and nice and small, so it's pretty precise, which is nice. And I like that. I don't think that I reach for this one as much as any of the others. And then this one is a like a contour brush, and it's a flat topped contour brush. See, it's very flat, as opposed to their, so this is a number 301. And also this is, I'm not sure if you can see it on these, but these, like, get water spots and things like this. And so I don't like the look of that. Even though they're clean, they have water spots, and the other brushes don't do that. So I don't even think you can get this line. I don't know why I'm talking about it. But this one, this flat top one, is actually really, really nice for sculpting and contouring too. So I do like this brush. And of these three that I think were a set, there might have been other ones, but I think these three were a set. These powder ones I can live without, but I do really like this flat top contour one. Though what they have in their regular line is, this is a 301, the flat top, and this is the 406, which is the contouring, but it's an angled contouring. And so I actually have a couple of these in my collection. Let's see, here's another one. These are called sculpting brushes. And so this is a really similar brush, but rather than the flat top, it's got the angled top. And these are the same brushes, they're just from a different set or a different time, so they're slightly different handles. This one's way older. Obviously they have changed the packaging a little bit, but again, these brushes are so old, but they hold up. Like, this is a newer one, but they hold up so well. They're so soft, and the older one looks just as good as this one. And I think the only reason I have a second one of this is because they came in a set or something. I don't know, maybe I just bought it because it's a really good brush. So this one does work very well. Just like that e.l.f. sculpting brush, it works very well for the contours of the face, going under the cheeks, under the jaw, up around the hairline. It works very well for cream. It works well for powder. I especially prefer these for cream and kind of dabbing, stippling out, and blending it out, and it works very well for that. So these are great, and I highly recommend these. My one complaint while we're here, my one complaint about Real Techniques brushes is the handles are so big, and they're really fat handles. You see that? So that's my one complaint, is that they take up more room in, like, when you're doing like a makeup cup, or, you know, this big container like this, right? They take up a lot of room. And, you know, like you see those makeup brush drying racks. Well, I did order a special one that has like silicone, so you can, it has multi sizes and silicone, so you can put the brushes, even the big handled ones, slide up and help your brushes dry straight up and down. But just keep in mind that these are really beefy handles. So it's not, I still love them. They're comfortable to hold and everything. They just take up a lot of space. Whereas some smaller brushes with smaller handles, you can fit more into your travel bags and your compartments because they're smaller. Also, I think I think they've updated the packaging. Maybe. I think they've updated the brushes. But I have these brushes. Like I said, I've had these for like 10 years. And the black on them is starting to, I don't know if you can see, but it's like, it's starting to get sticky because it's like disintegrating or something. So I did see someone else talk about they like painted them with nail polish or covered them with something else. So you can kind of save them. And the reason I say that is because the bristles are absolutely amazing and there's no reason to get rid of them and, you know, purchase a new brush and spend my money, and also, you know, the manufacturing and the processing of having another brush and everything. I don't need to do the waste of that when this one is still perfectly good. So if you are someone that does have the old style and you know how to fix them, let me know, or I will also be trying the technique of finding something to like paint over the top of it or put like a sealant over it or something. I'll probably ask my hubby. He's pretty smart and might have a good suggestion with that. So anyway, this is the Real Techniques stippling brush. So again, very similar to the e.l.f. brush. A brush that I think you need to have in your collection. Again, the same sort of thing. You can stipple it. You can use it for foundation. You can use it for contour. You can use it for blush. You can use it for blending. You can use it for going down the neck. So this is absolutely an amazing one. Nice, soft, these duo fiber brushes. And such a good brush. This is one, between this one and the e.l.f. one, I would probably choose this one. And I think, I'm not sure if this one comes in a set. I don't remember. It's been so long since I purchased them. I don't remember which ones came in the set. They have like an essential set. They have eye essentials and they have face essentials. Some of them come on their own. And I don't remember if this one comes on its own or in a set. But regardless, I think you want to pick that one up. The nice thing about the e.l.f. one is that, you know, it comes alone and you can buy that by itself if you don't need the extras, if you don't need what comes with it. This one is just a simple buffing brush. I probably don't use this one as much. You can use these for powders, liquids, creams, whatever you want. You can use this one kind of for bronzing or just for blending out the face. You can use it for blush. You can use it for powder. Versatile brush. If you are someone who doesn't want to buy a lot of brushes, this is actually a good style brush to have because it is so versatile. I keep a brush like this style in my makeup travel bag so that I can kind of use it for all of the things and I don't have to carry a whole bunch of brushes with me when I'm traveling. Okay, let's talk about the cream of the crop while we're here. This is the Real Techniques 402 setting brush. This is the brush you have to have. I think you can get these by themselves. I think they come in sets also. This is a brush you have to have. Of all of the brushes, this is like, this is a good style for bigger portions of the face. But these setting brushes are so good for using for powder to set the powder. That's what it's, you know, setting powder. It's wonderful for highlighter. It gets really precise and in the right places. You can use it for blush. It's a little small, but if you especially are using like a liquid or cream, it helps you get in really precise areas. I don't use it for this, but you could use it for blending out the eye. It's probably a little big for that, but this is such a good brush that I have multiple in my collection because I use it probably on a daily basis to help set underneath the eyes. Especially, it works really well for setting underneath the eyes, and you can set the eyes with powder. Again, you should always kind of set your eyes with translucent powder before you get started if you have any of that liquid product to help prime it and set it before applying eyeshadow. So it works really well for that. Again, like I said, it's excellent for using highlighter and getting highlighter in just the right places, like up on the cheeks, under the brow bone, on the cupid's bow. and things like that. So this is such a good touch up on the go. You just need a little powder. You don't want to powder your whole face and kind of look cakey, but you just, you know, need to cover the shine. This is excellent for like a touch up on the go. So I love this brush. This is such a good brush, and it's so soft, cleans really well. Super highly recommend the setting brush. Okay, brush that you can skip. I would skip this powder brush. No, this is a blush brush. If I bought this, I would use it for powder. I would use it to powder and just use it for touching up and powdering the face. It's the 400 blush brush, and I just think it's too big for blush. I think it doesn't even fit that well in some of the blush pans. I don't like it for blush. I think it's a fine powder brush, but it's one that you could easily skip. You don't need that one. Now this is a fan brush, and some people love fan brushes, and this may or may not have come in a set. This is the 410 brush, and it's meant for highlighting the face. It's called the strobing fan brush, so it's really meant for highlighting and everything. I personally am just not into fan brushes like this. I will say they do work pretty well. Like for cleaning up fallout under your eye, you can slightly brush, like if you have a dark eyeshadow or any eyeshadow that you're using and it falls out and you just want to clean it up. It works pretty well for getting it and like lightly brushing away the fallout. But this one's fairly thin, so you have to really just lightly flick and make sure you don't rub in. And because it's a little bit thinner, it's not bad thin, but because it's a little bit thinner, I feel like it's not firm enough to kind of brush everything away. That's more, if I do use a fan brush, I more use it for brushing away, or brushing powder if you're baking or something away under that. So I have it and I use it. It's another one though that I would skip, and if I was strobing, I would just go back to that setting brush and I would use that for highlighter instead. This is the contour brush, and this one doesn't have a number on it, but this is another one. It's very similar to the setting brush, but just bigger. Let's see, where is the setting brush? So you can see that it's quite a bit bigger. The contour brush is quite a bit bigger than the setting brush. So you can get in and contour and face sculpt. This one, of course, this one is better for powder versus if you're using this the other style sculpting brush. This is really great for cream products and liquid products. This contour one works very well if you are using powder products. So if you use cream products and you're using this sculpting, you can go and finish and put some bronzer over the top or finish it with some powder. So this is a really nice, really soft, again, versatile brush. You could use this for blush as well. You could use this for setting bigger areas of the face as well. So this is a very nice brush. I have a couple different style foundation brushes, and this is the Expert face brush. I'll show you that first. This is, I think I have another, this is the same brush. This is the older one and this is a newer one, which still is not very new, by the way. They might be updated since I have this one too. This is the 200 brush, and these are the Expert face brush, and these are great for foundation, especially these can apply foundation very quickly, and this one gives you a little bit more of a sheer application. If you can definitely press it, but if you do kind of more the swiping blending motion, it gives you a nice quick sheer application that's fast. And I love it for like an everyday use where you're not trying to get a lot of coverage and you have like a thin foundation that you can just kind of apply everywhere and blend. It blends really nicely. Again, these are super soft and hold up super well. I've had these forever, and these are really nice for an everyday foundation brush. So if you are looking to have a foundation brush in your kit and The stippling brush, you can apply it in a stamping motion, which gives you a little bit fuller coverage. You could use that is one of your options, or you can use this more sheer style application with the Expert Face Brush. So if you're looking to add a foundation brush, either one of those are a great way to start. This one I have, and this is a pretty old one, and I don't use this style brush very often. This is like a flat, not completely different than the Wet n Wild's concealer brush, right? It's a little bit bigger and softer and a little less firm. But this brush is, you can use it as like a flat brush and kind of paint on your foundation. If you do that, this style brush, not this brush in particular, but this style brush does leave streaks when you do that, so you want to go and follow up with some sort of sponge to follow up and really give yourself that seamless foundation look if you do apply it with this style brush. That being said, it's a fine style. It's a little bit small for that style of brush. Like it's good for precision. It can help you get into like smaller areas and stuff, but it will take you quite a while if you do the whole face with this and then have to go over it with a sponge. This is called the pointed foundation brush. So if you like this style brush, a foundation brush, this style, this probably wouldn't be my first choice for it. I'd look for one that's a little bit bigger. But you can use this again for concealer, you can use this for color correcting, you can use it for touching up extra like little layers where you just need a little extra coverage on your foundation. So, you know, you put it on with one of the other brushes and then you come over with this and just give yourself a little extra coverage and then go over that with a sponge. So not the most important brush in your collection, but a nice additional brush if you're looking to kind of get a little more artistic in your makeup. All right, let's look at some of the eye brushes. So I definitely don't have all of them here that I own, but I have a nice little sampling of them. And they are all very nice, very soft brushes, with the exception of, this is the Pixel Point eyeliner brush, and it's similar to that e.l.f. style brush that I showed you earlier, this angled e.l.f. one, right? I showed that to you earlier, but look how much thicker it is. It's very thick. And I don't reach for this one very often. It's a little stiffer. What I actually use it for is using it kind of around the tear ducts to really kind of do highlights in there. And what I do is I usually I'll put product on the brush, put powder on the brush, and then wet it with like a setting spray to really make it pop. And it does work well for that. But this is, I think it came in a set with the other brushes, and I feel like it's just too thick for eyeliner. Maybe you could go over and smudge your eyeliner. I wouldn't recommend that though. So not my favorite of all of the brushes, but one that came with it nonetheless. You could also use this as like a kind of a pencil brush under the eye. It's not my favorite for that either, I have to say, but you could use it for that if you had it. If you have it, use it. This is like the detailer brush. Oh, I like everything that was on it washed off because it's been used a million times. That's how good it is. This one's a little bit more firm and stiff, and it's a little teeny tiny detailer brush. Again, this is great for applying things in precise areas. This one works really well for cream and liquid shadows. but it still works with powder as well. And sometimes I use it for like a shimmer powder because it's nice and firm, and it does sometimes do a good job depending on the formulation, of course, picking up the eyeshadow and really putting it precisely where you want it to go. It also works pretty well for highlighting underneath the eyebrow. So this is a nice eye brush that I have gotten a lot of use out of. This one is the Accent eye brush, and so it's short and flatter, still soft but a little more firm than some of the other ones. This one also works very well for picking up shimmers, and it also works very well for depositing shadow in like the outer V and inner corners and making it really precise. And so applying those shadows with this brush and then blending out with another works very well. So this is a good one. This one is one of my favorites. That I think this is like one of the first brushes I bought from Real Techniques, and this is the base shadow brush. This one again works really well for creams and liquid eyeshadows and powders all the same. So I highly recommend, if you need a shadow brush, start with something like this. It's very similar to that original Wet n Wild brush that I showed you. Of course, this one's a little softer and it gets a little more of a blend on it. But you can see it also has a little bit more of a tapered point. This Wet n Wild one is very flat across the top. It has a little roundedness, but it's a little more flat across the top, and this one's more tapered. And so this one helps you get a little bit more precision, and it's just a beautiful blush for applying to the lid. It's a great size to kind of make quick work of it, and also if you leave it clean, it's a wonderful blending brush. So this is a really great, really versatile eyeshadow brush that I highly recommend. Now these last two are the same brush, different series, different time that I bought them. This one's got a funny, that needs to be trimmed. It's got a rogue hair. We all get those, right? So anyway, this is the Deluxe Crease Brush. So this is great for blending. It is called the crease brush, and it is my preferred way. I use this more for blending than actually applying directly to the crease. I would apply with one of the smaller brushes. I would apply shadow with that and blend it out with one of these. These also are incredible for blending out concealer. Now, if you use them similar to those foundation brushes, if you use them to blend out concealer, they're gonna give you a more sheer coverage when you use it to blend these out. But they work very well for doing that. Again, for if you're doing, a nice sheer foundation with a nice sheer concealer application to go along with it, so that it blends nice and seamlessly. You have like a similar style. You don't want really harsh concealer if you have very sheer foundation. So these blend out concealer very well, and they also do work very well for blending the crease. And you can use them to put like a base crease color transition shade down as well. So these are pretty nice versatile brushes. You can also use these for setting the eyelids with the translucent powder or little touch-ups as well. So these are another brush that is a pretty versatile option to keep on hand. This last one that I have is called the Instapop Cheek Brush, and I think this was one of the special collections, and I don't know if they still have this one, but you can see it's like a it's kind of flat on the back and then tapered up, and I kept this one out for two reasons. One, I do really enjoy this one. It gives a much more concentrated pop of blush. So if you're using it, it's a much more concentrated pop of blush, and it shows up more than their other big blush brush that kind of just brushes everything away. This one gives a really nice look. I saved this one out for one other reason, and I will come back to why I saved this one out in a minute. All right, are you still with me? Now I'm going to move on to the high-end brushes. Let's see what we've got here. I know this video is so long, but I wanted to mention this real quick. The Real Techniques brushes are by Sam and Nick Chapman, and they are sisters and makeup artists, and they created this line many years ago. They also used to have a channel at the time. It was called Pixie Woo, and I watched it all the time, and they both would do makeup tutorial videos, and I watched all their videos. I absolutely loved them. They kind of left YouTube and have come back separately, and just recently I think they're both back, so I will try to remember to link to their channels in the description box. But the cool thing about these is that they were made by sister makeup artists who really know what they're doing, and I just love when the tools are created by people and you see them all the time using their own brushes, of course, but they use other brushes as well, but you see them using their brushes, and they really had tutorials on how to use their brushes. So that's another reason why I absolutely love the Real Techniques line. That was it for drugstore brushes. Now we'll move into the higher end brushes, and these came from Ulta, but you can get this brand at Sephora as well, from the company's website, of course. So these are It Cosmetics brushes, and again, these were a special run for Ulta. These were It brushes for Ulta specifically. And so yes, I do have like the bougie handles because I'm extra like that, and I just couldn't resist these when they came out. I've had these for several years now, quite a few years. I can't even remember how long it's been. So I'm sure you can't get this exact set anymore, but they have sets like this that come out all the time. Check out, I believe I got these around the holidays, so check out that they often have like special sets and deals around the holidays. But these again are really soft, really beautiful brushes. The quality is great. They've held up very well. Versatile brushes, and I just love this set. This is a pretty good, like if you were just looking for a beginner set, it has some face brushes and it has some eye brushes, which can be rare. Sometimes you get one or the other. So look for that when you're looking for sets. If you're not buying individual brushes, look to see what comes with it. So the face brushes that came in this one, I think this was all of them. I might be missing some, but I think this was all of them. This is the foundation brush, and it's like a foundation, like kind of like a kabuki style, but the flat blend, the flat, slightly domed foundation buffer brush. And this one works really well for applying both liquid and cream foundations, and I do super soft, make super quick work. And this style brush gives you a little bit more fuller coverage, so this is a really great foundation brush that I like. I do love the shape of this blush brush, this angled blush brush. This one is like just perfectly fits either way, either direction, depending on kind of where you want to concentrate your blush. And I love the shape of this one. This is a great blush brush. Now for the eyes, we've got the smudger brush, the little smudger, the crease brush, and this is just called a shadow brush. So all three of these again are super soft. The smudger brush, as is, a smudger brush is supposed to be. It's much more firm. It's still soft, but it's very firm, and it does work very well for smudging out under the eyes and around the eyes. So this is a really great smudger brush that, even though it's super dense and firm, it's still soft, because a lot of times the smudger brushes can kind of be almost painful or scratchy when they smudge around the eyes, and this one is a really good one. This basic shadow brush is very similar to that Wet n Wild brush. Pretty similar to the Real Techniques brush. So see what I'm saying, where this Wet n Wild one is like a super basic style, but works really well. It's because it's a good shape, a good style. So this one is a little bit thicker, and so actually this one is good, but it's not my favorite, just because nothing in that set had the smudger, but nothing in that set has any precision. So this one is great for applying shadow all over the lid. This one is another good one for setting the lid with translucent powder. You can even use it for touching up with translucent powder. You can use it as blending. It's nice and soft, so it does work for blending. But this one's a little fat for getting all over the lid. If you have bigger eyelids than me, maybe it will work better for you. But it's good. It's not great, but because all of the other brushes in the set are so good, this one gets honorable mention. If it wasn't in the set, I don't think I would love it as much, just to be honest. So just fair warning, it's not my favorite if it's alone. This crease shadow brush is an excellent crease shadow brush. Again, super soft. You can use it. It's a little bit slightly domed, but pretty flat. And you can use this one for blending. It's a wonderful blending brush, and it's also a wonderful brush to apply shadow into the crease. So this one is blending or applying shadow into the crease, and again, it's so soft, and they've cleaned up really nicely. They've held up really well, and I do like this brush a lot. Of course, It Cosmetics has so many more brushes in their line. Those are just the ones that I happen to have. But like I said, they hold up so nicely. They wash up nicely. They've lasted for years, and they apply makeup very well. So those are kind of my recommendations of what I have. But you could check out the line and see what else they have. I'm sure they would be great brushes. All right, you've made it to the final brush category. Now, these are BK Beauty brushes, and BK Beauty also was started by a YouTuber makeup artist, Lisa J, here on YouTube, and I will link to her channel. And I love Lisa's channel, and I love her brushes. So she used to work for MAC and is a former makeup artist and still does YouTube, and came out with this line of brushes, and you can tell they are designed by a professional makeup artist. They're just so good. Now, I have to say, they are spendy brushes, and I got them basically. These were released at different times, but I got the first round when it first launched, and then this gray line, which I'll mention in a little bit, the gray ones, I bought those also when they launched. And so I've had them since they have launched a little while. So I did buy the brushes when they've launched, and they wash up very well, and they have held up very well, but they definitely haven't been in my collection anywhere near as long as the other brushes that I have. So these are my newest brushes, but they're probably also my favorite. But I said Real Techniques were my favorite, so that's not fair. But Drugstore, these are my favorite high-end, and the Real Techniques are my favorite Drugstore. If we put them head to head, I don't think I can decide. Don't make me decide. Okay, so let's start. We've got the face and the eyes. The eye brushes, hands down, of all Drugstore high-end, these are the best. And they have some other ones I'll add to that. But the BK Beauty brushes the eye brushes are the best, and you just can't compete with those. The face brushes. I love the face brushes. I think Real Techniques is a real contender for the face brushes, though. I think it's very close. I don't know if I can choose between the two. But for the eye brushes, the BK Beauty brushes wins for eyes. For face, it's a toss-up. It's close. Let's start with the face. So if you know of BK Beauty, you probably know of this 101 brush. And this is like, I think this is probably what BK Beauty is known for, is this 101 foundation brush. And it's got this unique tapered shape, this angled shape, and it's, you know, flat on the back. So soft. All these brushes are so soft. But this is like, if you like dab your foundation on with your finger and then go in and blend with this brush, this makes such quick work of your foundation. You are done so fast and it looks so good. If you pat it, you get a little more fuller coverage. If you pull it, you get a little more sheer coverage, so you do have that control. It glides really nicely around the like chin, so you can really get down into that neck, so you still don't have that line of demarcation that we were talking about earlier. So this is like the creme de la creme of makeup brushes, and this is an amazing foundation brush. If you got one and only one brush, like I think this is it. this is it. I absolutely love this brush because it changed my makeup game for an average every day. I was able to do my foundation so much faster, and I felt like I honestly like could wear makeup more often because it didn't take me as long to do it. So I absolutely love the BK 101 brush. Now I want to go back to the Real Techniques Insta Cheek brush. Like I said, I don't even know if this is available anymore, but it's different. The size is quite different. The density is different. This one is really dense, super dense. This one's softer. You can see, can you see when I push? It kind of stays there. It's dense, but then when I push this one, it's much more springy, right? So they are different brushes, but you do have that nice same kind of shape and blend. And because you can use these brushes, same with the BK Beauty, same with these, you can use these on cream, liquid, powder, any of them. I think if you do have this brush, you might like trying to apply foundation with it, even though it's meant for cheeks, and you can get that nice quick application that you can get with this brush. However, I think this brush like deserves its own little shelf, or it needs its own little trophy case. So that's the winner of all of the brushes. The 102 brush is the powder brush. This is the big powder brush. So again, you can use this for putting on powder, and if you've put it on with a puff, you can brush it away. It's like I said, the reason why the Real Techniques blush brush is so huge is it's not that much different than the big fluffy BK Beauty brush. And so they feel different. The fibers feel a little different. This one probably I would say is softer. It's a little more domed and tapered at the top. But if you're just looking for a blush brush, these two are, a powder brush, even though this is called a blush brush, I would say these are fairly comparable. But so I like this style brush. As someone with dry skin, it's good for applying powder less precisely, right? Because I don't want a lot of powder because I have dry skin. So it's nice for that less precise application. But it's not one of the brushes I reach for the most. I do really enjoy the 103 brush for bronzer. This has a bit of a more square shape almost around the top. And it's still kind of got that dome shape, but it fits in really nicely around the cheeks and the hairline and around the jawline. It works really well for applying powdered bronzer. And it's a little bit of that looser longer brush hairs, and so it gives a softer application. And so using these brushes together, you can get a really nice, beautiful, soft, natural look for quick everyday looks. It's less, there are different brushes. These brushes, this is kind of more the average everyday natural look and less precise. Now the 104 is the blush brush, and this one does taper up really nicely to a smaller point, so it does very nicely fit on the cheeks. It's a nice blush brush, but my favorite blush brush, which is like the same as this It Cosmetics Ulta brush. It's like the same thing. I bought this whole collection when it launched. So this is the BK Beauty and Angie Hot and Flashy collaboration. And Angie has a channel, Hot and Flashy, here on YouTube. I will link it in the description. She has a great channel. I love her channel, especially for skincare. She has a great channel as well. Anyway, so I bought her line that she collabed with BK Beauty to make, and I bought the whole set. So these here are the eye brushes, and like I said, the BK Beauty eye brushes are like hands down the best the best eye brushes ever. I also really like the blush brush. This is the A507 blush brush, and this, similar to the It Cosmetics for Ulta, the shape of the brush is perfect for applying blush. You can do it this way or this way, and really getting it where you want it. If you like the higher blush, you can get it up there. If you like it right on the apples, you can get it there. These are so soft, and these are more precise. I really like this blush. This brush, I think that the blush turns out so well, and I reach for, these are the two blush brushes in my collection that when I reach for blush, these are the two, and you can see they're very similar with the angular shape. They're very similar brushes, but this is my favorite style when I reach for a blush brush in my collection. These are the ones I go for. The other non-eye brush is the A506, and now this is like the little baby version of the 101. So you can see, so here's the 101 again. You can see this is like the little baby version of the 101, and it is that great little angled flat on the back, so soft. And this one is designed to really get in and press in the concealer under your eyes. So as I was talking about before with some of these other concealer brushes, I like to use these other types of concealer brushes to get the concealer into the correct areas more precisely. You can of course use your finger as well, but I prefer to use the brush. And then I use this to really pat it out, and if I'm going for a more sheer application, you can really swipe it and blend it. But to get a nice good coverage, just pat that in, and this is a wonderful brush to have to your collection. You can also use this for like little touch-ups over your face. This is a great brush as well. The other brushes from the collaboration with Hot and Flashy and BK Beauty are the A501 to the A505, and these are all different forms of eyeshadow brushes. So when Angie designed these, she designed these to really work for all different kind of shapes of eyes, for smaller eyes, for more mature eyes, for hooded eyes. This 503 is like the brush that you need for blending. This is such a good blending brush. It's similar to the one I talked about earlier that I said if you need any type of brush, you need this blending brush, this style. And so I absolutely love this one. So soft, works so well. This is a great one to have for your collection. I love the other for this A505. This is a little bit different style brush. This is like one of those flat, more concealer like brushes, but while you could use it to apply liquid eyeshadows, you could use liquid and cream eyeshadows. It works well for that. You can use this style brush for cream shadows. You can use this for liquid shadows. And surprisingly, this brush actually works really well for picking up a lot of the shimmer and glitter eyeshadows just dry. The way that it is made works very well for that. You could of course use this as like a concealer brush as well. It's that that flat, firm style brush. This one works very well for placing some of those shimmer, glimmer, creamier eyeshadows right there wherever you want them to go. And you know, if you do them oftentimes with your fingers, you can't, especially if you have long nails, but sometimes you're trying to get to the inner corner and you just can't get it. You can use this brush to really help you get into and brush in the inner corner. Even if you use your finger, it helps you to kind of make the whole look more finished and more cohesive. So the last three brushes are, this one's more of that base eyeshadow brush that we've seen a lot of in all of the other kind of brushes, or all of the other sets of brushes. We've seen this style as well, but this is a little bit smaller than that It Cosmetics one. It's a little bit better size. This one works very well. You can use this one for setting the lids. You can use this one for just applying any eyeshadow, and you can use it for blending. It's a great brush. The last two are very similar to each other, but they just are different sizes. So these are these domed kind of crease brushes, but you can see they are very different sizes. And that will help you apply more precision. And if you want a color to be very dark, you will use the smaller brush. If you want it to sheer out a little bit or apply it more on more area throughout the eye, you choose the larger one. Kind of as you're working, the darker you go. I always choose the smallest brush for the darkest color, and then go back and blend everything with this guy. All right. We made it. We did it. That's all the brushes. Whew. If you are still with me, don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more. I thank you so much for being here and watching this video. I hope you found this helpful and that you saw some brushes that will work for you if you are in the market. So I will remember to link everyone below. Thanks again for being here, and I will see you in the next video.